Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where everyone's chasing love, how many of us are losing ourselves in the process? We give our time, our energy, our hearts, only to end up exhausted, anxious, and questioning our worth. But what if I told you that the greatest form of self-love isn't about who you attract, but what you protect? Because peace isn't just something you find after heartbreak, it's something you guard before it ever begins. And tonight, I'm going to show you 7 ways to protect your peace in love and dating, so you never have to lose yourself trying to keep someone else. And ladies and gentlemen, the most powerful thing you can ever protect in life, more than your reputation, your image, or even your heart, is your peace. Because peace is what allows you to think clearly, love deeply, and walk away gracefully. When you lose it, you lose yourself. And in love and dating, it's so easy to give it away without even realizing it. We let people disturb our peace because we confuse love with chaos, attention with affection, and drama with depth. But real love doesn't take away your peace, it amplifies it. And if you want to protect that peace, there are a few truths you have to live by. And the first way to protect your peace is to stop chasing closure from people who were never capable of giving you clarity. Some of the most draining moments in our love lives come from waiting for explanations that never come. You replay conversations, analyze every word, reread messages, and wonder where it went wrong. But closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you deciding that their silence is the answer. Peace is not found in what they say. It's found in what you accept. Sometimes people leave not because you weren't enough, but because they never had the emotional maturity to meet you where you are. Don't let your heart become a courtroom where you keep trying to prove your worth to someone who already left the trial. And the second way is to stop confusing availability with compatibility. Just because someone shows up in your life doesn't mean they're meant to stay. Some people appear simply to test how much you've learned about boundaries. When you're lonely, it's tempting to fill the silence with anyone who listens. But emotional peace doesn't come from being around someone. It comes from being around the right one. Compatibility isn't about how well you get along when things are easy. It's about how you both handle it when things aren't. Protect your peace by reminding yourself that being alone is better than being half loved. And third, you have to learn to communicate your standards early and without apology. Too many people lose their peace because they think expressing what they want will scare someone away. But if someone leaves because you had standards, they saved you time. The moment you hide your needs to keep someone, you trade your peace for temporary validation. Say what you mean what you say, and stand behind it with quiet confidence. Peace isn't found in people pleasing, it's found in self-honoring. You're not asking for too much, you're just asking the wrong person. And the fourth way to protect your peace is to stop arguing with potential. We fall in love with who people could be instead of who they are. You see glimpses of kindness, moments of effort, words that promise more, but none of it means anything without consistency. Hope is beautiful, but it can also be dangerous when it blinds you to reality. Protect your peace by falling in love with patterns, not possibilities. If someone's actions constantly disturb your calm, their potential doesn't matter. Love doesn't have to feel like emotional whiplash. The right connection brings steadiness, not confusion. And the fifth way is to master the art of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It's knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on any one person. It's remembering that no matter how much you give, you can't control how someone feels or behaves. When you detach, you don't react out of fear, you respond from strength. You stop chasing validation and start choosing peace. Detachment is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your worth is not negotiable. It's realizing that loving someone deeply and letting them go if they disrupt your peace are not opposites, they're both acts of self-respect. And the sixth way is to stop taking everything personally. In dating, rejection can feel like a personal attack, but it rarely is. People project their fears, their wounds, their confusion onto others. Sometimes you're too stable for someone who thrives on chaos. Sometimes you're too emotionally available for someone who isn't ready to face their own walls. Their inability to love you properly says more about their capacity than your value. Protect your peace by not internalizing their issues. When you stop trying to decode why someone couldn't choose you, you start reclaiming the energy you need to keep choosing yourself. And the seventh way to protect your peace is to slow down. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, we rush love as if it's a race to the finish line. But peace thrives in patience. You don't have to have all the answers on the first date. You don't have to define it before you feel it. Rushing creates anxiety, and anxiety is the enemy of peace. Take your time to see if your values align, if your emotional needs are met, if your soul feels calm when you're with them. Don't let chemistry trick you into calling something real before consistency proves it. The right person will not demand that you lose yourself to love them. And peace in love isn't about finding someone who never tests your limit. It's about knowing your limit. It's well enough to not let anyone cross them. It's about choosing your emotional safety over your curiosity. It's about walking away when staying means betraying yourself. Protecting your peace doesn't make you cold or guarded. It makes you wise. It means you've learned the difference between being open-hearted and being open-wounded. And it's easy to think that protecting your peace means building walls, but it's really about building filters. You don't have to shut people out, you just have to be selective about who gets in. Not everyone deserves front-row access to your emotions. Some people only deserve a seat in the back, far away from the steering wheel of your heart. When you start filtering your connections through the lens of peace, you stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. The loudest love isn't always the healthiest one. Sometimes the person who speaks softly, listens deeply, and makes you feel safe is worth more than all the butterflies in the world. And protecting your peace also means being okay with being misunderstood. When you set boundaries, when you stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen, when you walk away from situations that drain you, people will call you selfish, distant, or difficult. But peace requires you to disappoint others before you disappoint yourself. Let them think what they want. You're not here to convince anyone of your goodness. You're here to live in alignment with it. And maybe one of the most overlooked ways to protect your peace in love is to take responsibility for your healing. Because no matter how kind, patient, or loving someone is, they can't fix wounds they didn't create. Healing is your job. The more you heal, the less you tolerate emotional chaos disguised as passion. The more you grow, the more selective you become, not out of fear, but out of awareness. You stop needing someone to complete you because you realize you were never incomplete. You just needed to return to yourself, and peace is not a prize someone else gives you. It's the energy you protect within yourself. It's in the way you speak kindly to your own heart after it's been hurt. It's in the way you stop begging for love that costs your dignity. It's in the way you choose calm over constant confusion. Protecting your peace is the highest form of self-love because it's the foundation that every healthy relationship is built on. Without it, even the strongest attraction will collapse under the weight of chaos. With it, you become unshakable, someone who can love deeply without losing themselves in the process. And peace is not just the absence of drama, it's the presence of clarity, alignment, and self-respect. It's the ability to sit with yourself and feel calm, not anxious about who might leave, who hasn't texted back, or whether you're too much for someone. Protecting your peace in love means learning to value stillness as much as connection, solitude as much as affection. Because when you can be at peace with yourself, you stop tolerating relationships that disturb it. And protecting your peace means understanding that love is not supposed to be a constant test of your self-worth. Too many people confuse emotional turbulence with passion. They mistake inconsistency for mystery and hot and cold behavior for attraction. But peace comes when you realize that love doesn't need to feel like a guessing game. It's not about decoding mixed signals or earning affection through overgiving. It's about reciprocity, consistency, and safety. The right kind of love doesn't leave you wondering, it leaves you feeling certain. And there's something incredibly freeing about not chasing what isn't chasing you. The moment you stop trying to convince someone to care, to prioritize you, to meet you halfway, you reclaim all the energy you were wasting on anxiety. You begin to see that love shouldn't be a performance where you're constantly auditioning for someone's approval. You don't have to prove your worth, you simply have to protect it. When you stop begging for attention, you make space for affection that flows naturally, without force or fear. And one of the biggest ways people lose their peace is by confusing effort with struggle. You should absolutely put effort into love, but effort means consistency, communication, and care, not constantly fixing, chasing, or over-explaining. When love becomes one-sided labor, peace disappears. Relationships should feel like teamwork, not tug-of-war. When you're the only one fighting to keep it together, you're not in love. You're in survival mode. Protect your peace by remembering that you deserve mutual energy. You deserve to be met where you are, not dragged through emotional exhaustion trying to make it work alone. And protecting your peace also means becoming more mindful of your emotional triggers, because sometimes the chaos isn't caused by others, it's stirred by the wounds we haven't yet healed. When we haven't dealt with abandonment, we cling. When we haven't processed rejection, we chase validation. When we haven't learned self-worth, we tolerate mistreatment disguised as love. Peace begins where awareness begins. When you understand your emotional patterns, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding consciously. You don't take everything personally, you observe it, learn from it, and move forward with grace. And when you meet someone new, protecting your peace means resisting the urge to rush into emotional attachment. Chemistry can make you overlook red flags, but patience helps you see patterns. Anyone can say the right things early on. Peaceful love reveals itself in how someone treats you consistently over time. You protect your peace when you don't mistake temporary excitement for long-term security. You protect it when you remind yourself that love is not built on potential, it's built on presence. And another key part of protecting your peace is realizing that silence can be more powerful than confrontation. Not every situation requires your reaction. Not every insult deserves your energy. Sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is to disengage. Walk away without explaining. Stay quiet instead of arguing. Choose calm instead of chaos, because your peace is too valuable to waste proving a point to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Emotional maturity is knowing when to speak and when to step back. It's the strength to say, I could fight for this, but my peace is worth more than being right. And you also protect your peace by letting people reveal themselves without interference. Stop trying to manage someone's behavior to keep them from leaving or disappointing you. Let them show you who they are through their consistency, their respect, and their presence. When someone's actions don't align with their words, believe the actions. Don't make excuses for them because you see potential. Peace comes from truth, not illusion. You'll find more strength in acceptance than in resistance. When you stop rewriting people's stories to fit your fantasy, you make room for the reality that sets you free. And protecting your peace requires mastering emotional detachment in a world that romanticizes obsession. You can love deeply and still know when to pull back. You can care sincerely without losing your center. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's control. It's reminding yourself that you can want someone and still walk away if they're not contributing to your peace. You stop making your happiness conditional on their behavior. You begin to love from a place of wholeness, not need. That's where love becomes powerful when it's chosen, not clung to. And when you prioritize peace, you start to notice how much noise you've been tolerating. You start to realize that not everyone who reaches out deserves a reply. Not every invitation deserves your presence. You don't owe access to people who constantly disrupt your energy. Boundaries become your best friends. And the beautiful thing about boundaries is that they're not punishments, they're protections. They're the invisible fences that keep chaos out and calm in. And you'll know you're protecting your peace when you stop explaining your standards to people who have no intention of respecting them. You no longer justify why you need consistency, communication, or effort. You simply expect it, and if it's not given, you quietly move on. You stop chasing closure because peace has taught you that your silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. You stop settling for half love because you've learned that protecting your peace is more valuable than protecting a relationship built on anxiety. And peace also means being okay with uncertainty. Love will always carry risk. You can't control who stays or who leaves. You can't guarantee how someone will feel tomorrow, but you can control how you show up. You can choose to love from a place of calm, not fear. You can choose to trust that even if something ends, you'll still be whole. That's the essence of peace. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about not letting pain define you. And when you live in peace, rejection no longer breaks you. It redirects you. Ghosting doesn't destroy your confidence. It reveals someone's character. Heartbreak doesn't close you off. It cleanses you because peace turns your pain into perspective. You start to see that everything that disturbed your peace in the past was preparing you to value it more in the present. And as you grow, you'll find that peace changes the way you love. You stop loving out of desperation and start loving out of overflow. You stop chasing attention and start attracting alignment. You stop searching for completion and start sharing your wholeness. Peaceful love is not about firework, it's about warmth, depth, and trust. It's the quiet knowing that you can be yourself without fear of rejection. It's the calm of being loved for your authenticity, not your performance. And protecting your peace also means paying attention to how you talk to yourself. Your inner dialogue sets the tone for every relationship you have. If you're constantly telling yourself you're not enough, you'll accept relationships that reinforce that belief. But when you start speaking kindly to yourself, you naturally stop tolerating what disrupts that inner kindness. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. Peace begins in your own voice before it's reflected in anyone else's actions. And perhaps one of the most profound ways to protect your peace is to stop expecting love to heal what only solitude can. Love is beautiful, but it's not medicine for your wounds. You have to sit with yourself long enough to understand what peace feels like alone, so you can recognize when it's being disturbed with someone else. If you only know how to feel calm in a relationship, you'll always depend on it for your sense of stability. But if you learn peace within, you bring that energy into your relationships instead of seeking it from them. And protecting your peace is a daily decision. It's not something you set once and forget. It's something you practice with every choice, every boundary, every conversation. It's choosing to pause before reacting. It's choosing to walk away from what feels wrong, even when your heart wants to stay. It's choosing to invest in connections that make you feel seen, safe, and respected. And when you protect your peace, you stop living in survival mode. You start living in flow. You stop running after love that hurts and start attracting love that heals. You begin to understand that peace isn't boring, it's balance, it's clarity, it's strength. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that no matter who comes or goes, you remain whole. And because peace is power, and once you've tasted it, once you've felt what it's like to wake up without anxiety, to love without losing yourself, to be kind without being taken advantage of, you'll never trade it for chaos again. You'll stop romanticizing pain and start celebrating peace as the highest form of love you can ever experience. And peace transforms the way you see love. It makes you realize that what once felt exciting, the constant ups and downs, the uncertainty, the drama, was never passion. It was anxiety dressed as intensity. When you start valuing peace, you stop chasing adrenaline and start seeking alignment. You begin to understand that love isn't meant to feel like a roller coaster. It's supposed to feel like a steady heartbeat. The kind that doesn't rush to impress, but beats calmly because it's secure. That's the kind of love you build when you protect your peace. Love that feels grounded, not gripping. And here's the truth most people avoid. Sometimes protecting your peace means outgrowing people who once felt like home. It means realizing that just because someone was part of your story doesn't mean they deserve a place in your future. The people who once gave you comfort can become the same ones who disrupt your calm if they stop growing with you. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care about your well-being enough to not hold on where love no longer lives. You're not abandoning anyone by choosing peace. You're just choosing yourself for once. And you protect your peace when you stop measuring your value by how much someone chooses you. Because love is not a reward for worthiness, it's an extension of awareness. The way someone treats you reflects where they are, not what you deserve. When you anchor your identity in someone else's attention, you lose your balance every time they pull away. But when you root your identity in your values, your self-respect, and your truth, no rejection can shake your foundation. Protect your peace by remembering that your worth doesn't decrease because someone failed to see it. Their blindness doesn't change your brilliance, and peace also means not letting your emotions make permanent decisions. It's easy to make choices when your heart is hurting, sending that long message, calling someone who's already shown you their indifference, chasing closure when silence is all they have to give. But peace reminds you to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, will this bring me calm or chaos? If it disturbs your peace, it's not worth your energy. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen the muscle that protects your soul. Peace isn't built in one moment, it's practiced in 1,000 small ones. And you also protect your peace by not over-romanticizing potential. It's easy to fall in love with the idea of what someone could be, the person they are when they're trying, the version they show you in moments of guilt, the words they say when they want another chance. But peace sees reality for what it is. It listens less to promises and more to patterns. It stops believing I'll change when the effort never follows. When you fall for someone's potential, you start carrying the emotional labor of a love that doesn't exist yet. Protect your peace by falling in love with presence, not promises. And there's also a deep kind of peace that comes from forgiving, not for them, but for you. Because holding on to resentment keeps you connected to pain. Forgiveness doesn't mean you excuse what happened. It means you refuse to let it live rent-free in your heart. When you forgive, you take back control of your energy. You stop replaying the past, stop reopening old wounds, stop trying to rewrite history. Forgiveness is freedom. It allows you to love again without dragging your past fears into your present moments. Peace grows in the soil of forgiveness because bitterness can't survive in a heart that's done healing. And protecting your peace also means not falling into emotional quicks, and the kind of situations where you know deep down that something feels off, but you stay because you're afraid to be alone. You rationalize red flags, you minimize mistreatment, you convince yourself that love requires endless patience. But peace is knowing when enough is enough. You can't heal in the same place that keeps hurting you. You can't find clarity in a connection that thrives on confusion. The moment you stop trying to be understood by someone who enjoys misunderstanding you, you reclaim your peace. And sometimes peace is in the unlearning that love has to hurt to be real, unlearning that your value depends on someone staying, unlearning that being needed is the same as being loved. Many of us grew up equating struggle with depth, chaos with chemistry, and sacrifice with devotion. But peace challenges all of that. Peace says you don't have to earn love by suffering for it. You don't have to lose yourself to prove your loyalty. You don't have to chase someone just to be seen. Peace gives you the courage to rewrite what love means to you, and to only accept love that reflects that new definition. And when you protect your peace, you also learn to enjoy your own company again. You start realizing that solitude isn't punishment, it's restoration. It's where you return to your essence, recharge your energy, and reconnect with who you are without the noise of someone else's opinions. When you're comfortable being alone, you stop accepting half-hearted company just to fill the silence. You stop settling for almost love because you no longer fear emptiness, you see it as space for something better. Peaceful people don't chase, they attract by being whole, and another way to protect your peace is to be intentional about the energy you allow around you. Every conversation, every message, every interaction has an impact on your emotional state. If someone constantly drains you, confuses you, or makes you question your worth, that's not love, it's depletion. Protect your peace by surrounding yourself with people who bring clarity, not chaos. People who respect your boundaries, not test them. People who make you feel grounded, not anxious. The company you keep becomes the emotional climate you live in, so choose warmth over turbulence. And protecting your peace also means not romanticizing the chase. We've been conditioned to think that love worth having has to be difficult. That if it's easy, it's not exciting. But peace teaches you that ease doesn't mean emptiness. It means alignment. It means two people showing up with honesty, not games. It means love that grows through understanding, not manipulation. When love feels calm, it doesn't mean it's boring. It means it's mature. Protect your peace by not mistaking chaos for connection. And maybe one of the hardest but most necessary ways to protect your peace is by accepting that sometimes you're the one who has to walk away first. Not because you stopped loving, but because staying started to cost too much, because peace asks you to choose long-term serenity over short-term comfort. Walking away doesn't make you heartless, it makes you self-aware. You've learned that you can love someone and still let them go if keeping them means losing your balance. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And when you live in peace, you also stop performing. You stop pretending to be more agreeable than you are just to keep the connection smooth. You stop dimming your light so someone else doesn't feel insecure. You stop twisting yourself into a version that fits someone's expectations. Peace allows you to show up as your authentic self without fear. It's knowing that the right person won't be intimidated by your honesty or threatened by your strength. Peace isn't about being easy to love, it's about being real to love, and you protect your peace when you start leading with self-trust. Because when you trust yourself, you no longer ignore red flags. You don't rationalize mixed messages. You don't stay where you feel unseen. Self-trust is the anchor that keeps your peace steady even when emotions try to sway you. It reminds you that your intuition is your greatest protection. If something feels off, it probably is. You don't need proof to honor your peace. You just need permission from yourself to listen. And there's a sacred calm that comes when you stop negotiating your value. You no longer explain why you deserve respect, consistency, or kindness. You no longer wait for someone to see your worth. You embody it. That's when peace becomes your default setting. You begin to operate from abundance, not scarcity. You give love freely but wisely. You care deeply but without losing yourself. And that's when love becomes peaceful, not because it's perfect, but because it's aligned with who you truly are. And peace is not found in control, it's found in surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives your power away, but the kind that accepts what's beyond your reach. You stop trying to fix people, you stop forcing outcomes, you stop fighting what's already fading. Surrender is not giving up, it's growing up. It's understanding that everything meant for you will flow to you when you stop clinging to what drains you. Protecting your peace means trusting that what's real will never require you to abandon yourself to keep it. And because when you truly live from peace, you don't chase what's unstable, you don't argue with what's inconsistent, and you don't beg for what's fading. You simply stand still, grounded in your worth, knowing that the kind of love that's meant for you will never make you feel unsafe in your own soul. And peace gives you perspective. It helps you see that not every connection is meant to last forever, and not every ending is a failure. Some people enter your life to awaken you, to mirror back your patterns, to teach you what your boundaries look like in real time. You might not realize it while you're hurting, but those moments where your peace was tested were also moments that refined your strength. They taught you to stop confusing attachment with alignment. They taught you that sometimes love's greatest lesson isn't how to hold on, it's how to let go with grace. Protecting your peace means understanding that every ending is an opportunity to begin again, this time with more wisdom, more clarity, and more self-respect. And when you value peace, you stop making decisions from fear. You no longer choose relationships because you're afraid of being alone. You no longer settle because you fear starting over. You no longer chase validation because you fear being unseen. Peace teaches you that solitude is not emptiness, it's preparation. It's where you recalibrate your energy, re-center your priorities, and rebuild your strength. The more you learn to enjoy your own company, the less desperate you become for someone else's attention. And when love finally arrives, it becomes a choice, not a necessity, and there's a quiet confidence that comes from peace. It's the way you carry yourself when you know that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. It's in the way you stop reacting to every inconsistency because you're no longer emotionally dependent on other people's approval. Peace makes you calm where you used to be chaotic. It makes you patient where you used to be impulsive. It makes you deliberate where you used to be desperate. It doesn't make you colder. It makes you wiser. You stop operating from a place of emotional hunger and start making choices from fullness. And protecting your peace also means detaching from outcomes. You can give your best, love sincerely, show up fully, and still accept that not everything will go the way you hoped. Peace is found in the surrender to what you can't control. When you attach your peace to outcomes, you'll always feel unstable because life is unpredictable and people are too. But when your peace comes from within, from the way you handle what happens instead of what happens itself, no disappointment can unbalance you. You start to understand that peace isn't about things always working out. It's about knowing you'll be okay even when they don't. And protecting your peace is also about emotional discipline, because not every emotion deserves a reaction, and not every thought deserves your belief. Just because you feel anxious doesn't mean you have to act anxious. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you should reach out. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you should retaliate. Peace teaches restraint. It teaches you that silence can be stronger than words, distance can speak louder than confrontation, and patience can reveal more than pressure ever could. Emotional discipline is how peace protects you from the storms that come when emotions run wild. And when you begin to live from a place of peace, you stop allowing guilt to dictate your boundaries. You stop saying yes to things that drain you. You stop apologizing for needing time, space, or distance. You stop letting people guilt you into emotional labor you don't owe them. Protecting your peace sometimes means saying no, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself too. Guilt loses its power when peace becomes your priority. You realize that protecting your energy is not selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't love from an exhausted heart, and peace also changes how you handle conflict. When you have it, you no longer argue to win, you communicate to understand. You no longer need to raise your voice to feel heard, because you don't derive your strength from volume. You can walk away from arguments that go in circles without feeling defeated. Peace helps you see that some conversations aren't meant to resolve, they're meant to reveal. You don't need closure when clarity has already arrived through someone's actions. You don't have to keep engaging with dysfunction just because you're used to it. The most powerful thing you can say sometimes is nothing at all, and protecting your peace means embracing the power of emotional distance. Not every person deserves full access to your heart, your thoughts, or your time. You start becoming selective, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. You can be kind without being available. You can be generous without being drained. You can be empathetic without being exploited. When you stop giving your energy to everything and everyone, you create space for what actually nurtures you. Peace thrives where your priorities are clear, and as you protect your peace, you also start redefining what attraction means to you. You stop being drawn to chaos because it feels familiar. You stop mistaking emotional highs and lows for passion. You start craving something different, something stable, balanced, nurturing. You realize that calm is not boring, that stability is not a lack of chemistry, and that peace is not the absence of love. It's the foundation of it. You start being turned on by emotional intelligence, by honesty, by presence. You find beauty in effort that's consistent, not grand gestures that fade when the attention shifts. And when peace becomes your standard, you no longer tolerate confusion. You stop decoding mixed signals and start taking them at face value. You stop hoping that inconsistency will turn into commitment. You stop explaining how you deserve to be treated. You simply live in a way that makes mistreatment impossible to sustain. Peace gives you that quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to scream, the kind that doesn't chase, the kind that knows its value so deeply that walking away feels more natural than holding on to chaos. And you protect your peace by not letting your imagination fall in love before reality does. Because sometimes what we suffer from isn't the person, it's the fantasy we built around them. We fall in love with potential, with words, with promises, with what we wanted them to be. Peace brings you back to reality. It teaches you to fall in love with actions, with consistency, with how someone makes you feel on your hardest days. When you let go of fantasy, you let go of disappointment before it has the chance to destroy your peace. And you also protect your peace by not turning dating into a battlefield of insecurity. The right person isn't going to make you feel like you're in competition. They're not going to keep you guessing or make you question your worth. They'll bring clarity, not confusion. Peaceful love is transparent. It's where communication is clear, effort is mutual, and emotions are respected. When you've tasted peace, you stop craving intensity for the sake of attention. You want connection that feels emotionally safe. Because safety is sexy, Stability is attractive, peace is powerful, and perhaps the most profound shift that comes when you live from peace is that you stop needing everything to be permanent. You start understanding that some people are meant to be beautiful temporary lessons. You stop holding on so tightly to what's fading and start appreciating what it taught you. You stop trying to control how long something lasts and start focusing on how much you grow from it. Peace allows you to love freely, without attachment, without fear, without resistance. You love with open hands, not clenched fists. And peace also helps you move differently after heartbreak. Instead of rushing to replace someone, you rebuild yourself. Instead of drowning in what ifs, you focus on what now. You no longer see heartbreak as a punishment, but as redirection. Because peace shows you that nothing you lose in alignment with your growth is truly a loss. You start to see heartbreak as a pruning, removing what can't grow with you, making room for something that can. Pain becomes a teacher, not a prison, and the more you practice protecting your peace, the more you realize that it's not a destination, it's a daily discipline. It's in how you wake up and choose gratitude over anxiety. It's in how you pause before reacting. It's in how you walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values. Peace isn't something you find by accident, it's something you maintain with intention. Every boundary you hold, every no you say, every time you walk away from chaos, you're choosing peace over pressure, and you'll start to notice how your relationships change when peace is your priority. You attract calmer people, you communicate more clearly, you stop engaging in drama, you stop needing to prove yourself. You start craving quality over quantity. You stop seeking temporary highs and start seeking emotional security. Peace makes you magnetic to people who value maturity over manipulation and love over control. And because when peace becomes your baseline, love finally feels like it's supposed to: steady, kind, honest, safe, and real. And once you've felt that kind of love, you'll never again settle for one that costs you your calm.